There we go.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at another Priestess View. I'm Goddess Rhonda, and of course, as always, we have with us our beautiful Goddess Star.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here again tonight, as usual. And Goddess Rhonda is looking beautiful as usual. And we are absolutely enjoying having and being here tonight. Okay?
Absolutely. I apologize for the extra lateness. Goddess Rhonda's moving, and there's like my house is in total chaos, but we did want to at least get this show in before the end of the year.
Yeah.
I have to start shutting things down so I can move away. So anyway, let's roll. As always, before we begin, we like to cast a circle of protection around us. All hail, our lords and ladies of the East, our brothers and sisters, our brother and patron, the sacred element of air, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is. So mote it be.
So it is, and so mote it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the South, my brothers and sisters, my brother and patron, the sacred element of fire. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is. So mote it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the West, our brothers and sisters, our sister and patron, the sacred element of water, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is. So mote it be.
All hail, our lords and ladies of the North, my brothers and sisters, my sister and patron, the sacred element of earth. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is. So mote it be. And we now bring down the divine white light from the sacred source of all well-being and fill all of our spaces with peace and protection always. So it is, so mote it be. Thank you.
So it is, and so mote it be.
Alrighty, so we've got lots more random questions to ask you. Hopefully we'll get through more than one.
Yeah. And I'm going to excuse myself now because I do have the sniffles and it's making me catch my breath and all of that, but it's all good.
Hey, it's all good. My allergies are always going. I always have a candy box.
Sitting there going,
whoever issues was a genius.
Sniffle box.
First, hello to everyone in the chat room. And as we go through our questions, please, by all means, let me make sure I even muted myself. Hang on, dudes, because I might not have. Doesn't look like I did. Bear with me for 1 second. As we go through our questions, please feel free to respond yourselves in our chat room. There we go. Let me mute that. There we go. In our chat room, which if you're on a computer, excuse me, it should be to the right of your screen. If you're on a phone, I'm not quite sure where it shows up, so you might have to scroll down a little bit to find the chat room, but I hope that you will share what you feel is going on in our chat. I'm having a hard time bringing up the chat room. I'm hoping it will magically appear before me. We are in the retrograde. Yay! There it is. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
We found it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're
Yeah.
going to do our first question. Now, this was something that occurred to me, and I've been thinking about it actually very strongly, because I do feel that it is something, maybe not right now, but at some time in the future that this could actually happen. And so my question for you that I'm posing for you is, if a psychic was sued for invasion of privacy, would it stick? Now think about this for a minute. All of you who are either professional psychics, or you do psychic work, just for yourself or just for your friends or whoever it is. And for those of you who also go to psychics for guidance and counseling and help. Think of all the times you have asked, what's my boyfriend doing? How does my girlfriend feel about me? Is my boyfriend cheating on me? So the psychic is then technically going into that third party's energy, reading their energy, what's going on with them, basically ratting them out for everything that they do if they've done something. Now, technically, if we think that we're gonna break it down now, technically, if this was not a spiritual matter, the person doing this, in order to start digging into someone else's life, though private investigators, they don't dig into lives psychically, but they'll follow you around and snap pictures of you with another woman or whatever, but they have a license to do it. So no one can come after them and say, you've invaded my privacy. But in our world, there's no licensing. And so we're just like, oh yeah, your boyfriend was getting down with the girls last night, and this one is hiding money because you guys are getting a divorce, so make sure you check his accounts overseas, dig through all his stuff to get his information, all these things. We are digging deeply. If you want to know about their finances, their love life, everything, their personalities. We are breaking it down. We are bringing up this person's energy and saying, yo, here's the real person that you're dealing with. Here's what's going on with them. Good or bad. Doesn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
But still, I have to, as a psychic, jump into that person's energy and see what's going on. So even as an empath, jumping into their energy to see what they're feeling about you and stuff like that. So with that scenario said, if
she's gonna throw me under the bus again.
Yes, as soon as I can. If a psychic gets sued for invasion of privacy, which could happen at any time, then do you feel that that charge would stick, and would that psychic be subject to criminal consequences? So go ahead, Goddess Star, take it away.
She does it to me every time. But anyways, honestly, I don't think so. I honestly do not think so. There's many things, many variables reasoning why. First of all, they will have to believe, the judges and all of them will have to actually believe that you are psychic. And the majority of them do not believe it. You could stand there and tell them things about themselves and they will still not believe it. They will say there's got to be a rational explanation for all of that. So they have to believe that. And the majority of them, I would say about 90% of them would not believe it. Then you take that variable into place, then that psychic could at any time go, I don't know nothing. I claim I don't see shit. Like, at any time that psychic could say, I don't know what you're talking about. And then that person can say, but you said you saw. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I told you anything that came to my mind. Well, the burden of proof lies with them. And I could sit there and say just about anything to protect myself. And then on top of that, compile that with, or compound that with the fact that the judges and they will not believe you, or that they don't believe in it. For them to pass any kind of law on it, they have to believe in it. I do remember there was a case many, many years ago in the 70s. She wasn't charged with invasion. She was charged with something else pertaining to her psychic abilities. And And even right in front of them, when she moved something with her mind because she was so upset, they still doubted what they saw. So, you know, and instead what they did was they charged her with being crazy. And I'm not kidding, and put her away for about 2 months to get her craziness under control. So
Wow.
there's a lot of burden of proof going on there. And you and I know, to protect ourselves, we can sit there and say, I know nothing, I see nothing. and you know, it's left up to them to kind of figure out if we're telling the truth or not. And are they psychic enough to tell if we are or not? So
That is not. I just have this picture of you sitting up on the stand saying, I don't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm being what you call right away. What came to my mind was Sergeant Schultz in Hogan Heroes. I see nothing, nothing. That was my. I see nothing. He's right in front of it, and he's going, I see nothing. I will say whatever it is I have to say. It's self-preservation coming into play. So
listen,
I don't know,
you know,
but I mean, it depends. I mean, I honestly can't see that happening, you know. But again, you know what? Let's hear what you want to say, and if anybody else in the chat room has any ideas,
yes,
because
please,
those are some of the things that I thought of. Because I really believe a lot of it has, and it's such a, now the burden of proof is not on us, it's on them. They have to come up with this proof, and let's see them come up with it, because part of the proof is us, right? I mean, in my logical mind, that's how I see it.
No, you know what? You're right. First, I want to say, before I get into my own opinion about it, I do want to say that I always suggest to the people that I'm training to be professional psychics that they become ordained ministers. Because if you're a minister, no one can make you say anything. You say, I'm sorry, I'm that person's minister, their spiritual counselor.
You're counseling.
Sorry, I got nothing to say. So you're covered that way. No one can ever come at you about anything because it's confidential information. You don't have to say jack to anybody. But with that said, you know, like you said, they have to believe it. The people, the jury, the judges, it will probably never even make it to court, because the judge is going to be like, what are you, crazy? You know, what do you say? Psychics are real? Come on. You know, it would cause a huge shift in people's spiritual belief systems in order for this to happen. But in the future, we don't know what's 100 years from now, when people are more psychically aware or spiritually aware. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to save, that's a different question. We're going to save that for later. But I do have some points to make up. So for example, there was a case of a woman, because if they can't figure out how you know something psychically, they will figure out a way to jack you up saying you did something physically to know how.
Right.
If I were tomorrow, if I could do this, and believe me, if I could do this, I would. But if I could, in my psychic abilities, all of a sudden decide what stocks to buy tomorrow, and I sit there all day and say, okay, this one, sell this one, buy this one, sell this one. By the end of the day, I have $50 million or something.
Right.
The SEC is going to come knocking at the door and say, hey, you have insider trading. There is no way you could have known all that. So, I'm psychic. The universe wanted me to be rich, and so they gave me this information. They're going to say, like, yeah, right. Who do you know in this company? Who do you know here? They will rip your lives apart. They won't find anything, but they will accuse you of having some other means of knowing this. And there is a case of a woman. She was a nurse, and I watched the movie. It was a Lifetime movie a long time ago. She was a nurse, and one of her co-workers was murdered. And that spirit came to her when she was sitting in the lunchroom minding her business, and that nurse's spirit came to her and said, help me, and showed her where the body was and everything. And so she called the police. This is a true story. You can probably look it up. She called the police. The police found the woman, and then they accused the nurse of killing her.
Yep, figured that.
You could know all those details. There's no way you could know this, you could know that. Even though the nurse had an alibi, she was working. I can't remember how she wormed out of it. I think she was still under suspicion. But they did everything they could to prove that she was the one. because they said there's no way you could know where the body was, and you could know this, and you could know that, and it just came to you because some spirit told you no way. So there are ways
Yeah.
you don't get these charges if they don't stick. They can still jack up your life with that, you know. And a lot of times, you know, I let people record sessions if they want to, because psychics, including myself, once I'm finished with you, I probably am not going to remember everything I said. I'm not supposed to. Imagine about a star. If you remembered the life story of everyone you've seen over the years, you'd be.
Oh, hell no.
So with that information,
I don't remember.
We channel it, we hand it to you to do with what you like, and poof, gone, on to the next one. Yep. So, but a lot of people do have recordings of me saying, well, this is going to happen, or your boyfriend did this, or whatever it is. And so I think that there's going to become a time when eventually, because people are becoming slowly but surely more spiritually aware. You know, we've got lots of parents saying they've got indigo children or crystal children or all these kinds of children. These parents, and then they're going to teach their kids that. These are the kids with spiritual knowledge that are coming up now, that is going to continue to grow. And eventually, mark my words, we might not be here when it happens, someone is going to get accused of invasion of privacy. Now, whether or not that sticks, I don't know. But I would caution all of you that if you are a professional, to please become an ordained minister, because then you don't have to say jack to anybody. Let me see if I made note. I did all of my notes here. Make sure I got everything. Yes.
Well, one of the things too, you remember there was one season, one show on on Charmed where they did a future thing of where I think one of them was accused of murder. And as you were saying all of it, you know, I can see eventually where more aware or awakened, as people would say. And people, unfortunately, are such in the mindset of sue. Everything is sue, and different things that you never know when someone can bring a case against you and use your own words against you with different things. Again, it's based on counseling, you know, as a reverend. We are under that umbrella, unless they decide to change the law to suit their purposes. Don't forget, legalities and the laws of the land are based on suiting their purposes.
That's right.
So even if we go under the heading of reverend status, at some point, who knows if they may take that and use it against us, or finagle us into stating what's what. But like you said, people really don't understand that when we do so many that we really do not remember. We will remember certain instances because it made an impression on us or something like that.
Right.
But to say remember who in detail, I have they're all jumbled up. Because you do move on and forget, and they come up to you going, remember, and you're like,
no.
And the blank look on our faces of like, I have no recognition, no recollection. I don't know what you're talking. And we're not joking. We really seriously have no idea what they're talking about. Because a lot of the times you do go into a trance when you're doing this, and it's no recollection at all. So, and you're not lying. They could give you a lie detector test and you're not lying.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So, you know, it's just what it is, you know. So there's a lot more to it. I don't think there's going to be, and I think you're right. I think one day all of that's going to come back to bite us in the ass, big time. But I do believe that, and again, it's because of awareness building. But I'm not even sure how we would be able to protect ourselves with it, because I think we're seeing in the climate we're in, people are changing laws and making it to what they want it to be based on what their likes and dislikes are. So, you know, who knows where things may go, you know?
And also, just, you know, before we go into the chat room, because we're going to go see what everyone.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
I was thinking about that Charmed episode. For some reason, I can't think of the third sister. It's Prue, Piper, and who's the third person?
Prue, Piper, and that's because they were. I'm not sure if they had changed sisters. No, I don't think they had changed. The original sisters were there. Prue, Piper, and
It's killing me now. I can't believe I can't think.
Yeah, come on, people in the chat room. Go check the chat room. Somebody might have it. Prue, Piper, and
who's the third original sister
Yeah, Prue,
Uh,
Piper, and
it's Prue, Piper. You know what?
the three P's, right? So Prue, Piper, and oh my goodness, I do not remember.
I can't believe it. I'm such a huge fan of that show.
Me too.
Piper, Phoebe. That's it.
Phoebe, yay, Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe. Okay.
Yay! And it was
So,
Phoebe who was the one who was accused. But don't forget, remember in that episode, it wasn't like people are just now all aware of spirituality and they're just going after those who abuse it. This was a form of a witch hunt by
right.
a politician who wanted
Future
to
and
destroy the witches.
right, right. And it was based on something simple that she started with the dog on her front lawn
Yes,
and her doing magic, and how that man grew up into a politician, and what he did and twisted the laws, and now it turned into a future witch hunt. Like it took us back to that burning times,
right.
and it was a true witch hunt. It was illegal to practice. So that's a topic that's like illegal to practice. You never know where things are going right now with all the climates of what it is. So
No, you don't know. You don't know. Now let's go into our lovely chat room. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down here. So we've got Jake Keith who says, depending on where things are headed. Oh, that's true. I'm glad you brought this up. It's kind of an aside. But Jake Keith says, depending on where things are headed, our chat sessions may become limited. No thanks to net neutrality, potentiality going away.
yeah,
And so if you guys aren't familiar with net neutrality, what it is right now, this is a forum. The internet is a forum of free speech. That might not always be the way. Politicians can come in and change things so that they can limit what you see, what you do, cause you to pay for things. So if you find the petitions for that, by all means, please.
yeah. And these politicians have suggested it. They want to prevent us from. They think that we should not be allowed to see certain things. I guess we're kids, and we need to be monitored and not see certain things and not be exposed to certain things. Only
Right.
be exposed to what they want us to be exposed to.
And to also to protect themselves. So like you see, for example, if someone, if I want to get a new iPhone and I want to look at the ratings for the iPhone, I want to see whether
Yeah.
the reviews, they can block me so I cannot see the reviews.
Yep.
They can
So
do
that they can
that.
sell it whatever way they want.
And so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So please, there is on change.org. If you go there and if you just put in net neutrality petition, they'll pop up. Please sign them because we don't want that to happen.
Yeah. And I had put it on my page as well with a quick link to where you go and do it. So check my page as well. I'll try to remember to put it on top, and I'll even put it in the Priestess View group.
Yes, it's on my
Because
YouTube, so you can see it. And please,
yeah,
please sign that.
we do not need parenting by the politicians. That's just
No, you
ridiculous.
don't need that. And it's for them. It's for their protection, not ours.
Yeah, it's not for ours. That's just they want to control what we see and don't see about them.
Exactly.
So we do not get to make up our own minds in a neutral manner.
So now we also have Christine,
Unbelievable,
who gives us blessings. Thank you so much. We've got Ashley, who says, that would be so bad. I actually enjoy reading what people share. Oh, they're still talking about the net neutrality. It's true. And JK responds, I do too. I really enjoy these sessions. Hello, dear Nathan. Nathan is here with us.
hey, Nate.
We've got Nathan, love Goddess Rhonda's earrings. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then we've got Bronwyn LaFay here. What's up, Goddess? Good to see you.
Yay, yeah.
And then Nate says, Goddess Star is wearing a beautiful pink. I'm about to feel not ready for the wardrobe departure. That's beautiful.
It happens every now and then, Nate.
Every
It
once in
does.
a while, she whips out that bright color.
Yeah.
Okay, Christine says, if it's a request, it wouldn't stick. It's an invitation. Let's see. Monica says, Princess Di's astrologer wrote a book. I didn't know that, Goddess Monica, that Princess Di's astrologer. Did he write a book about her and what her chart was? I'm guessing that's because they probably wouldn't, that's why they would be interested. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
To know that. Let's see. Twin Flame says hello. J.K. says some have been charged for fraud. Now that's true. I know that, what was that name of that psychic? She actually died.
Cleo?
Cleo, Psychic Cleo. I know that she got sued for fraud. I don't know whatever happened with that case, but I know that it did happen. I'm sure there's others who are too. Let's see. Hello, Global Proven Results. Good to see you. Christine says, even if so, it was an invitation to the psychic to read them.
Hmm?
And Monica, something got cut off. I just see CIA. Oh, I see CIA. The CIA has proven psychic abilities. This is true. And Christine says, I'll be a butterly by then, no problem. I think you meant trying to say butterfly, not butterly, which we can dig it. J.K. says, true, it is ultimately the individual's choice to do, but still there are some who have claimed fraud. And in today's day and age, any one of us can be recorded by anyone for anything the minute we step outside of our homes, and even in our homes.
Yeah.
Someone told me
Which is,
they actually, because of the smart TVs, that somehow they can actually like use it to look in, see what you're doing. I don't know if that's true.
yeah,
But
that's what I'm hearing. And even with our laptops, with our webcams and stuff, I
yes, with
heard
our webcams, there are
they
people
watch
I
all.
know that
Yeah.
actually, if they're not using them, they cover them up with like a towel.
Yep. Remember that movie, Snowden, about Edward Snowden, when he worked for the CIA, and then he said that that's what they were doing, and that's why it had bothered him so much, and that's why he no longer is an American here, living in on American soil, because he tried to stop some of it or expose some of it. Because he was one of those that said your words are heard, they watch you all the time, they all these different things, and who knows.
Wow.
But that's the part that bothers you, but bothers me a bit. If they can, not bothers me, that puzzles me. If they can see all these things and record so many things, why is it they can't solve every single murder?
Right.
Why is it they can't, you know what I mean? Why can't you get the proper evidence for the proper things and got all of that? Somehow that's where it's a blur, and everything else you can see and hear. You're not making any sense to me. It should
Right.
cover everything. That means the minute we step out, that murderer should be able to be, you can see everything that they're doing, the woods, wherever they did whatever, and be caught. At least that's the way it sounds.
Exactly. And then we have, let's see. Christina's saying, who are you? Goddess Christina, I don't know who you're referring to. And then she says, witch hunts begin like this. Absolutely. Then everyone
Yeah.
was kind enough to let us know that it's Phoebe. Alonzo says Phoebe. Kendra says Phoebe.
Yeah. For some reason, and I love her,
I
actually.
know. I don't
I
understand.
love her, but for some reason I was blanking her.
Okay, and then we have Monica says scientists and studies are bridging the gap. The future is ours, which is true. And then she also goes on about the book the astrologer wrote about Princess Diana, says yes, and they're counseling over her chart, very violating. Let's see, where else are we? Bear with me, because my thing scrolls as I try to follow it, and then I lose my place. Okay, so then Monica says the NSA, they were collecting naked pictures. Oh my God. From our internet, from our webcams, because that's really awful. And Eclectic Goddess 4 says they can be caught. They don't care to catch them. And Nathan says, I hate to say it, but the witch hunts are already well underway. They never really stop.
Yep, they are.
But it just seems to just keep going. And I'm hoping that one day people will snap out of it and stop doing that. So those are,
honestly, regarding the witch hunts, Nate and everyone else, I do believe that part of the issue is that we ourselves throw ourselves under the bus. I don't know why. We are all so busy with the egos and the who's better than whom and whose magic is better than whom and whose whatever is whom, that I think we have a tendency to throw each other under the bus. And that's part of the witch hunt, the whole thing. But anyways.
I agree, 100%. Alrighty. It is now time for a shameless plug.
Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes.
So
Okay.
my shameless plug for today is, and I want to point out that anything that Goddess Star and I talk about, you can get gift certificates to. Gift certificates are great presents. You can buy readings from us and give them to people to use at their leisure and things like that. Just wanted to point that out. If you purchase a service on my site, under the remarks say this is a gift, and then I will contact you to get that information to send that person a gift certificate. But with that said, one of my specialties is clearing homes either in person or at a distance from entities and spirits, any kinds of negative energies that are in your home, things that are going bump in the night. If you're tired of things going bump in the night, or your kids crying and running, jumping into your bed into the middle of the night, if you're hearing things or seeing things, I can help you with that and do a complete house clearing on it so that you are not bothered again. Either I do it in two ways, and this is both in person or at a distance. If you want me to just do it for you, I'm happy to do it. However, I prefer, my own personal preference is that you do it with me, because especially as spiritual practitioners, you need to know how to defend yourself. I'm all about empowering people, and I've had people say, well, if you show them how to do it, then they won't come back to you again. That's not the point. I'm not here. Yes, I want to make money like everyone else, but my whole theme is empowerment. And people should not be molested in their own homes. You need to take the power over your turf back and kick these spirits out and teach them this is not the way to behave in your home, and take the power and autonomy back over your own home. So I have people that I do it over the phone with or FaceTime, and we go through room by room, and I have them do it if we're doing at a distance, or if I'm in your home, you are standing right beside me and doing it with me and learning how to do it. And then I also send you written instructions so that you know how to take command of your own home. And there's so many people that are subject to ghosts and spirits, or just an accumulation of negative energy that has taken on a life of its own, and they go to sleep scared to death, or they're not sleeping, or they wake up with bruises or scratches, and then they get more fearful, which is what typically these entities feed on, is your fear, anxieties, and frustrations. So they're going to keep upping the amount that you have so that they can eat more. Basically, they're kind of upping the buffet, adding more dishes to the buffet. And so by teaching you how to take control of your home so that you don't have to deal with this anymore, how to shut down the portals, I go through everything with you, and I promise you, you will feel a difference immediately, as all of my clients do. I've never been called back to a house to redo it, with the exception of this one young lady where the problem was not the house, the problem was her, because everywhere she went, there it was. And so I had to help her a different way once I realized that was the problem.
It was attached to her.
Absolutely, it was attached to her. And so I can get that off you too, but that's for my next shameless plug. I'll save that shameless plug for my next shameless plug. But anyway,
Okay.
that happens to be one of my specialties, is clearing entities and energies from homes, restoring their serenity, their peace, and teaching you how to be empowered and take control over your own turf. And I come in and the people are one way. When I leave them, they are freaking warriors. I come in there and they're scared half to death. And when I leave, they are victorious warriors ready to take on the world. And
There you
so
go.
that is my shameless plug. Again, I can do it in person or at a distance. And also you can purchase gift certificates as well. Okay, Goddess Star, what is your shameless plug for your first shameless plug, I should say?
I am going to show it to you in person. We have created, Christine and myself, we have created portable altar kits. And there are several items in it, which I'm going to show you guys right now. And they're beautiful. Look at this beautiful box. Okay, that's what it begins with. And inside, it is amazing, all these things that are in it. This is an altar cloth. Oh, the feather just fell off. It comes with a feather, an athame. I don't know if you guys can see that, an athame. Altar blessing incense. Altar blessing oil. a cauldron, a hanging cauldron for incense. Beautiful baby chalice, stainless steel. It comes with an altar bell, a bell, a libation bowl, a water bowl. You've got all the altar candles, okay? All the many altar candles that you have, all the colors, the god and goddess candle as well, and a censer for the salt, which is awesome, okay? Let's see. And then it comes in this amazing box. I took out all these things after that, put them all back now when I'm all done, because putting them back takes a lot of skill to all fit into this wonderful box. But this is what it looks like when it's all done. And you would not believe that all of that came out in this one little box. All of that came out in this one little box, and it's beautiful. And this is actually for $60. This is considered a small one. We have them come in small, medium, and large. And of course, the boxes are all vintage boxes on the outside. And they all come with all of these items. The only thing is the items that as they get to be medium and large, they are all, everything is bigger. The chalices, everything is all bigger. And of course, the candles, everything is all bigger and more. Like the incense is a bigger bag of it. The oil is a bigger bottle, all of it, you know. So it's a wonderful little carry box. And as one of them said when we were traveling, you know, to New Orleans and things like that, they're asking you what's all that about. It's your clergy kit. As I told them, this has all my tools that I use as a clergy, which is true. I'm not lying, you know. So it was a great box to carry, and they saw that it had all the things that were there. So it's kind of cool. And it was able to bypass the airport. So there. All right. That was my shameless plug.
Excellent. All right. So now we're going to move on. Wait, did I somehow unmute myself? No.
I have no idea.
I didn't, and I hear. Let me make sure I'm going to mute it, unmute it, and then mute it again. If that helps. Now I still hear it, but I'm not quite sure why. All right. Well, anyway, we have the Mercury retrograde going on, so there's no reason why to try to figure it out. All right. So let's move on then to the next question, which is going also attached to the question that we just asked.
Yeah.
Is, do you think that one day we as psychics will be required to have a license to practice like a private detective if we're psychic, or if we do, like I do tons of healing work, am I going to now have to have a psychic medical license or a witch license to be a witch?
Wow, yeah.
Because don't forget, you know, as much as they might not be able to prove or be willing to admit that there's such a thing or validity to psychic work or witchcraft or whatever. But most of these people, the politicians, I won't say most, I'll say the Republican side, I'll just flat out say because they're for business and money, their attitude might not be, is it real or not? Their attitude might not be, how can we make money from this extremely lucrative profession? Yeah. We've got all these witches offering, you know, soaps and crafts and incenses and services and healings and things like that. They may say, well, you know, maybe we can't prove whether it's right or wrong, but that's not the point. The point of the matter is we want a cut of their money. And so they could figure out a way that so that they can make money. They may start charging you licensing fees or make you do things so that you have to have a license to be a psychic. You have to be a licensed alternative healer. You have to be licensed to do witchcraft services for other people. You know, if you make them a potion or an herbal concoction or something. I really do think that because I hear, you know, I've had so many clients say, well, you know, my child is a crystal child or an indigo child or a rainbow child. You know, people are becoming more aware and they're telling their kids that, so that these kids that are growing up saying, I'm a rainbow child, I'm an indigo child, I'm a crystal child, you know, we've got a whole different set of children coming up now, and they are more spiritually aware. And it would only take one of them to come up with the idea, you know what, these witches and these psychics are making a ton of money. Let's make sure that they have to pay like $300 a year in a licensing fee to do it.
Yeah. Or something. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Or something like that. Whether they believe it or not isn't
Money
the
to be
point.
made.
The point is they want the money.
Yeah.
So what do you guys see? Because I really do feel very strongly that in the future, all of this is going to change as we become more spiritually aware, as
Yeah.
society at large does. And we do see more and more people going mainstream and talking about things and trying to get people to understand. And so I think that maybe in as little as 100 years or less, the landscape is going to change. And then we're going to have, you know, and they also have, for example, the police, you know, they use psychics to find, you know, who murdered someone or
Yep.
missing people or things like that. The
Yep.
government does use it, so they do believe it, or they wouldn't be using them. They might not want to, the
Yes.
politicians might not want to say anything because they don't want their constituents saying, "Oh my God, did you hear what our senator just said? He believes in witches and psychics and stuff like that. Let's get rid of them." So they're going to keep their mouths shut because they don't want to lose voters. But they do believe in it, or
Yeah.
they wouldn't have using psychics for the police, for the FBI. A lot of the government uses psychics. So I think
Yeah.
there's just
Absolutely.
a matter of time before we're going to be required to have licensure for what we do.
Yeah.
And then that begs the question, should that be? Because we are more spiritual workers. So does that mean that ministers are going to need to have a license to be a minister? So what do you guys think of that when you think of the future of spirituality, taking into consideration that there is a lot of information where people are saying, "Oh, my child is psychic," or "My child is indigo," "My child is crystal," "My child is rainbow," or whatever. Which to me, all that means to me is that they're all witches. But you know, people like to put labels and break things down.
They're not going to say that. They're not
No,
going to say that. They're more accepting of certain things. Yeah.
but if the parents of these children are teaching the children that it's okay to be psychic and accept that, then these children who are coming up now, you know, 30, 40, 50 years, are going to be the ones who are running things.
Right.
And they're the ones that may say, you know what, we need to do something and have people licensed. And I'll tell you right now, the Republicans would jump on that in a second.
heartbeat.
It wouldn't even be about whether we believe you or not. We want you to have a license to do it so that you can pay us $500 a year. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think of that? When you think of the future of witches and psychics, I know that when we think of how history has been, Goddess Star, for thousands of years, and the witch hunts that are still going on now and how we've been persecuted, do you see in the future that actually this one day may be accepted and that then the government's going to be on our asses?
I absolutely believe it. And honestly, it's a double-edged sword. Okay. Because on one hand, they're not going to necessarily believe it because it's money. And they don't really care to believe it because they're like, we really don't care. You're saying you're this, then we want your money once a year or whatever it is. You need the license to practice as this. And like you said, I personally know a person in particular that has worked for many years with the FBI with certain cases. Toll on her. And they work with her and they pay her for her time and all of that. So, and that's me just knowing that one person. There are many out there, or they will call in certain things. Or if you go back in time, the kings and queens and up to today, they've always had a psychic or an astrologer or whomever, whatever they want to give the name that they work with, but they're always there. They've always been there as advisors. So giving it a name, I think, is just a matter of time. And giving it a name to charge a license or whatever it is just a matter of time. I think it's going to happen. The double-edged sword I was speaking about was, in one way, it will help protect us, because at the same time that if you're going to charge us, they're going to give us something in return for it. We're protected under certain laws because we are licensed by the federal government or the state or whomever. So it's that double-edged sword. In one way, you know, like how it may prevent certain witch hunts, if you have a license or it's recognized under the federal government in a certain way. So you have a little bit of legalities there. So there is that part. But I definitely do think that it will head there. And I always have believed that, that's why I love movies, as you guys can tell between movies and books. I've always believed that art imitates life, or life imitates art. I think it's a combination of both. So I believe that there are so many movies that that created portents, have told us what's going to come. And a lot of movies, if you look at the black and white movies, of theories they've had of futuristic things, haven't they all come to pass? I think they all have imitated what life is going to become. So we've seen many movies where they've either gone one way or the other, the witch hunts in the future, or they've legalized things and they've said they've given it a name and different things. And I think that's what's going to happen. It might be a combination of both, depending on the country or the city or the state. And I think each individual state may have their own rulings on it or whatever. And then the federal government has their rulings on it. But I believe I can see it becoming licensed. Isn't that what happened in New Orleans with the cemetery? It went from being a free thing, stuff like that, to where and the tour groups are very angry about it, because they have to pay a ton of money, over $1,000, to have a license for the year.
Really?
To give tours. Yeah, to give tours with at the cemeteries. Remember Bloody Mary was talking to us about it? She was absolutely
like $1,000.
Yeah, over $1,000. She was livid, because she was like, these are things that made New Orleans what it was. And here are people who come to the state, they're so enamored with it, and then they come and, like an abusive relationship, and they want to change it. That change comes all these licensing changes, what they can and cannot do, from, you know how they used to do it in New Orleans with the music, the bands going down for the summit, to the funerals, for marching down the street with the bands, for funerals and weddings. Now they have to have absolute permits and rights to do it and all of that, because of new people coming in and saying, we love it, but we want to change it. So if it's already happening in New Orleans to a lot of their things that they have, because I remember Bloody Mary saying she's on the committee to try to prevent some of these things, and she's some of the ones that are speaking up and saying, it was, stop coming here and trying to change it into your state of where you came from, or your city where you came from. We are not them. This is New Orleans. You know, stop trying to take away its identity. And that's what, you know, I always call that I relate that to abusive relationships. You know, they love you when they first meet you, and then they beat it into you, and this is how I want you to be. This is how I need you to dress. It's that. It needs to change.
And it's also a way for them
Control.
Take control and make it harder.
Yeah.
To kind of narrow your ability
to
do. I mean, everything
your
really
artistic ability. Power. Yeah, your artistic ability and control. And at the same time, make money off of you.
And make money off of you. And it's a lot of it is about power. I mean, look at the Knights Templar, which were, you know, in the 1100s, where they went about and spread the word of Christ and defended and got rid of anyone who didn't believe in it, and so forth and so on. That they did it for the church, mind you. And suddenly people put so much faith into the Knights Templar and what they were doing, that the church wiped them out. This is their own Christian soldiers that they drowned, burned, the same way they treated witches. they did the same exact thing to their own people because
People, yeah.
they had too much influence over people.
Well, it was not just the influence too. It was it was a double thing there again. Money. They had
Yes,
to pay them as well. And yes, they were doing it out of the fact that of their faith, but they were also taking care of the money financially of the families of the Knight Templars.
right.
But for to take care of their families, their wives, their kids, not want to pay it at all. So they wanted to use them, not pay them. So they went to each of them, said they accused them of a crime and annihilated them one by one,
Wipe them out.
out entirely. They did not pay them. To me, it's kind of what they do with bankruptcy now. When someone pleads bankruptcy and they don't pay them and they walk away, they control the situation, they walk away not paying them. Like many people that we know that commit bankruptcies over and over and over not to pay people, and that's good business practice.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, so there's a lot of it's abuse and control and money, all of that all rolled into one.
Yeah.
So I honestly can see that for the future of us. And part of it is, again, us. We are our own worst enemy.
And I would, since we're talking about psychics who work with government, I just wanted, it's not a plug for me, but I work with a group called Find Me, which is a combination of psychics, federal officers, police officers, search and rescue. And they do a lot of great work. They send us the cases. We answer where the people are as best we can. They send out search and rescues. And they are in dire need of donations. So if you look up Find Me, and put Find Me and missing persons, it'll come up. And if you can contribute even anything to help them, because they're a nonprofit group, we only do this because it's something we enjoy doing, and it's fascinating to work with, to work with the FBI and police and things like that. So if you could, it's Find Me. I know there's a couple of things that say Find Me. If you put it Find Me and then missing persons cases, their organization should come. In fact, I'll find their link and I'll just put it in the chat room. And if you can spare $1, anything at all, that would be great to help them out. So now let's take a look at what's going on in our chat room, because we've got some nice conversations I see going on here. We have Nathan saying there is too much censoring happening again over the terms witch, Wicca, witchcraft, occult, etc., especially on social media and FB. I remember Goddess Star really having a hard time with that. She had an event that they wouldn't post. Do you want to talk about that just briefly?
Oh yeah, anytime. Okay, first they would both Goddess Christine and I try to do an ad, a paid ad, and we sent them the ad. I don't know how many times. It was so bloody frustrating. Every time we sent it to them, they said with the ad. So we would change and take away things, and we kept sending it back to them. And the only thing that we kept word-wise was the word witch. And every time they kept sending it back, we can't do this, the ad is wrong or something's wrong. We couldn't figure out what it was, because they're not going to verbally speak with you or email you or anything like that. They just send it back saying you cannot submit it, something's wrong with it. But they would not say what. So after a while, both Christine and I looked at it and we were like, wait a minute. The only word left now is witch. So we began to realize that this essentially is what they're trying to do, is censor what words we choose with the ads. Same as how when we try to do event pages, you notice all we can press is, all we would see now is modern paganism.
It's modern paganism. I cannot tell you. I used to do events and I would have my keywords: witchcraft, Wicca,
Wicca, everything, pagan,
spirituality. Now, poof, gone. All you can put
everything's gone.
Is modern paganism. And how many people do you know looking for information on witchcraft types in modern paganism? Nobody does. They type in witchcraft, Wicca, goddess religions, things like that. Nobody puts modern paganism. So that was their way. Yeah. That was a big FU from FB with that, taking that away from us, so that people, when people looking for events or topics, ours isn't going to come up. put witchcraft or Wicca or earth-based religions or things like that, our events aren't going to show up. Our pages aren't going to show up.
Yeah. And
That
it's
was
frustrating because you want to pay them. It's your ad, and you want to pay them for your ad, but you're not allowed to put your words in it. It does not make, you're not allowed to put Wiccan or witch, none of those things. So you're sitting there going, so you're telling me I have to put my words based on what you think I should put, but I'm paying for it. How does that work? Screw it. And we didn't bother with the ads. So we try to find ways around it. We hashtagging it with the words that we will not be allowed to keyword in. We hashtag it. We do other things. And then when I did that, I think you guys know, I would post much around in all the groups that I belong to, because and a lot of them, they put me in. I did not join, they put me in. So if you're going to put me in all these groups, what I'm posting is events. So Nathan, you guys saw I was in Facebook jail. I was not allowed to post, not even in my own groups. Nothing. I was not allowed to post or anything. So I was telling everybody, please post. I was only allowed to put certain things on my page. And I was saying to everybody, please help me post, because I wanted to get my events out, So, yeah. And a lot of witches were in Facebook jail, or they were just saying, yeah, I just got out of Facebook jail, or I'm still in Facebook jail, or whatever it is. You feel like you're shackled. And they control it. They literally control it. And it's happening to a lot of us.
It is. It's very sad.
It's frustrating, yeah.
All right, let's go back to our
Chat room.
Our chat room. So then we have Monica, who says, egos bring us all down. Hunted or not, I will not cease my work. That's right. We will never cease our work. And Christine says that she likes her friends. Nathan loves your portable altar kit. Says it's quite lovely and complete.
Yeah, I love it too. It's kind of cool.
Hello. Hello, J. Christine. Antoinette, I finally found my way to the show. Is this live right now? Yes, ma'am, it is. We are live right now.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. Christine says we are in the process of providing coffin kits.
Yes. Oh my goddess, I wish I had some with me, and I wish but they're literally these coffins, and Christine is so talented.
Time. That's not yet. We haven't done shameless plug.
Sorry, you forgot. I forgot. I got so excited.
That is our shameless plug.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Monica says, I wouldn't mind. The fakers do a lot of damage. I'm proud of my legitimate talent and help. So, Goddess Monica, are you saying you wouldn't mind? Because I'm very curious and I'm interested, because I want everyone's opinion. Are you saying that you wouldn't mind if they instituted some sort of licensure to actually weed out the fakes and the frauds? Because technically, by reading what you've said, technically a fraud isn't going to pay a licensing fee. If they're they're frauds to make money, they're not frauds to lose money. So they probably would not pay that fee unless they have enough people that they feel they can hornswaggle enough that would cover the fee, so that they can continue to prosper. But I'm curious if when you say that, do you mean that you would be okay with licensure in order to help weed out the fakers? I'm very curious to that, because that does bring up a very good point, because you do have legitimate talent as an astrologer, and why should you get included when they find someone who's a fake, and then all of a sudden they think all astrologers are a fake? So I can understand that point, but do clarify for me if you mean that you would be okay with licensure to weed out other psychics, or astrologers, or both, because you're both, and let me know what that is. And then she goes on to say, perhaps change certain ethical standards. Astrologers are having this discussion as well. Leo King brought it up. I saw something like that where he's been talking about. I haven't had a chance to listen to any of his stuff because I'm moving and I've got a lot of things going on. But I did see that he's been mentioning that. So then we have Ashley, who said if they start to put licenses on services, wouldn't they have to accept witchcraft in whole? And then wouldn't that go against their religion and be affiliated and aiding in it? Well, as you know, as Goddess Star and I were saying, technically, yes, that would mean they would have to do it. But if they can say, well, we don't really believe in that practice, you know, they might not believe in acupuncture or doctors of Oriental medicine who do acupuncture, but they still require them to be licensed.
Yep.
So just because they don't believe it, if they see that they can make money off of it, they will do it. Yep. It's all about the bottom line. All of it.
That's how they've done everything from the prohibition with liquor and all of that. That's how it's always worked. If they can find a way to make money from it, and they don't have to believe one word about it. They don't care. Just the bottom line is there's a license for it, pay it. That's all they want to know. They don't have one word. And they're not, honestly speaking, with J. Key was mentioning, was that J. Key about the fakers or whatever? Honestly speaking, there are fakers, I think, that may go and get a license anyways. But they're not going to sit there and go, are you real or not? Are you fake or not? They're not. Process like they do with everything else. And they will say, you fill it out, pay the money, you'll get your license. That's all they care about. Because that would mean that they have to believe you. And that's not what they're in the business for. They're not in the business to believe you. They're only in the business to collect your money for that licensing. That's the way I see it's going to be. That's the way they've always handled everything. They're not going to change suddenly to make it any different. I mean, it's the same thing they do with Reverend license. We have to go through all these stringencies. New York State is the most stringent of all. New York City is the most stringent of all. If you pass with your licensing in New York City, you can practice anywhere very easily. But it still comes down to the bottom line. Hand us the money for the license and follow every hoop that we told you to jump through, and that's that. They don't question what type of reverend you are. They don't question whether you're a pedophile or any of those things. No, they don't. They don't care. That has nothing to do with the application form. All they care about is the bottom line.
That's right.
And everything costs money. Everything costs the city money, and you know, you can't say money is what's evil. It's not money. Money does not do anything other than provide the needs for whatever needs you want. Money is a provider of whatever it is. It's the people behind it. I believe in the same concept with guns or anything else. It's the people who use it and how they use it. And no matter what, the bottom line is you have things to pay for it. No landlord is going to say, don't pay me, okay, here. Or you know, that's not the way life works. You know, if they're not going to take cash, they're going to take something that's the currency of the time. And right now, the currency is money, cash.
Right.
It's king.
That's right. So. All right. So then we also have in our chat room, we've got Monica, who also says it should be covered under the First Amendment, under official religion. I agree wholeheartedly. Eclectic Goddess says, I think they believe and they practice also. I'm with you on that, Eclectic Goddess. You are not going to tell me that at least a portion of these people in power are not practicing witches. Sorry, you're not going to.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not surprised if right now they're waving their cauldron to get some more votes in so that they can stay where they are. So there's no way that I agree with you 1,000,000%. Monica said,
just put it this way, you never know who is a witch out there. Okay,
you never know. Because Goddess Star and I are very public, like many other witches that we know, that we're very public and we're very out there. There are still many of those who keep silent, and because of their jobs or whatever, because they don't think it's anybody's business. But you know, we're just a small portion of the ones that are out there. We're just like, here we are. This is what it is. Accept it or not, we don't care.
Yeah.
There are others who keep it to themselves. You never know who is a witch and who isn't a witch. You just never know. Okay, and plus, I think I don't care what your religion is. As far as I'm concerned, everybody's a witch. But we'll talk about that another time. Okay. Let's see. Monica says, oops, there goes it scrolled again for us. Hold on for a moment, please. It drives me nuts when it does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I had it right there and then poof, it went away. Just please bear with me for a moment.
It's confusing to me. That's why I'm leaving it all up to you, girl, with your good old eyes. My eyes are these. When I take them off, everything's a blur.
I found it. Okay, so Monica says, be positive, goddesses. Don't let other people's fears and ignorance bring you down. Oh, absolutely not. We're going
Don't
to
have
keep
time
it
for it.
anyway. We're very positive with what we do. She also says Rainbow Child Tribe is distinct from Indigo and Crystal. It's a Hopi prophecy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Monica says, yes, eclectic. They are always calling their prayer warriors. Yes, that's another. Yes, you brought up such an excellent point, Goddess Monica, that I've seen this a million times. You know, where we might go on there and say, you know, please light a candle or something because someone's sick or whatever. And the other in the Christian religion, they're like calling all prayer warriors. They use prayer to keep things. A prayer is a spell, for Pete's sake. I don't know how many times we have to say that. So if you're calling prayer warriors, you're calling spell warriors, which means you're calling witches to come and help your butt. So just putting that out there. Let's not kid ourselves, okay? But let's keep it real.
They're mincing words. They're mincing words and choosing to accept certain words. It doesn't mean it changes what it is. It just means you're mincing the words with it.
Exactly. And then Nathan says, scroll just a little bit. See if I can get this back. I think it will be accepted when there is less than 10% of the current population in some kind of post-apocalyptic scene. Then it will be fully embraced because of extreme need. I do believe that because people will come running to the witches when things get bad.
Post-apocalyptic. I love that.
Monica points out that Reagan used an astrologer. That's very true because I remember that. Reagan, for those of you who are youngsters, was one of our presidents many moons ago. Some kids out there may not know that. Eclectic Goddess says they try their best to cover it up, Monica, but they're not as hidden as they think they are. And Monica says, I refuse to hide. So do I. I refuse to hide. I cannot tell you how many people have said to me, you know, because you're out there in public, one day the government can kidnap you, or just like that movie, The Net, they'll erase your social security number and no one will know who you are and all these things and blah. And I was like, look, dude, first of all, I'm going to be who I'm going to be anyway. Through the power of YouTube, no one can really erase me. I'm already on the internet. Once you're on there, you're on there. And I'm not really even concerned about it. That's not even something that concerns me a little bit. So,
well, you see, one of the things about that theory is the net worked against her because she was not out there. No one knew what she looked like. They did not see her face. She was
even her own neighbor knew what she looked like.
They never saw what she looked like because she was not seen. We are so friggin' out there that it's the opposite that works. If you were hidden and you're the one that is not seen, or nobody knows who or what you are, you're the more the one at that risk of being similar to that net situation, of being erased, because it's like no one saw you out there. I mean, I think we are so seen and we're so frontal about it that it'll be very hard to erase us from the net in general, period.
In general, I agree with you. Let's see. So, okay, we've got that. And Monica says, the hunt has been constant, but communication is the best cure. I agree. The more public you are, I actually believe that there is safety in being public.
Yep. At least they cannot say what and if you look at things we've said over the time that we've been public like this, people can almost say what I know Goddess Star and Rhonda would say in a particular situation, because they hear us speak so often, and ad lib. It just comes out off the cuff that we not that we are opinionated, but we have an opinion about things.
Right.
And we're out there with it. And I believe that everybody needs to find their own path and how they're going to become that person that's not lost with the net. You got to find your own path with how you handle it. And this is our path with it. It is what it is.
It is. It is what it is. Then, of course, Christine brings up money. Yes, it is. It's all about money. Everything
Yeah.
in the world seems to be about money. Monica says you can do anything you want in hashtags. That's right.
Yep,
Nathan
that's
says,
what we do.
I saw an article today online that no Black or LGBT reporters have been invited to this year's media Christmas party at the White House. Surprise! I'm not surprised. It's just I just don't even want to talk about them. You just want to. Oh, I'm just going to shut my mouth a bit because I'm not going to let them ruin our show.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that is very true. This censoring of pagans, this is from Nathan, the censoring of pagans comes from the highest level. I do agree. And Monica
Yeah.
says, yes, Trump is a catalyst for the revolution in 2020. There are so many things are changing. The first transgender woman is an elected official. Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
good news.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. That's very encouraging. Eclectic Goddess says you should make an alternate screen name on FB so you can get into your pages when they do that. Hey, that's a good idea. Make the alternate screen name admin on your groups and pages. This way it's not really you, it's the alternate person making it. That's a great idea, Eclectic Goddess. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody else had told me that, and I'm so not that tech savvy or Facebook techie. Figure out how to do that. They just always seem to know everything of mine. Again, I think it's because we're so bloody public, but it has its good, and I believe it has more good points than bad points. Yeah.
I was trying to find a link because Nathan is trying to post a link about the lady. She said you could find it on Pink News. I just wanted to post that. So let's see if I can just find it very quickly. Pink News. And then if I can find it, I'll just put the link for Pink News, and then you can scroll for it if you want to learn more about that. I'll just put this here.
And I have a tendency, because I try not to be political on my page for many reasons. But one is because in this particular instance, I worked with that person for a little bit when I did real estate. I worked with that person, and I know that person very well. And my only thing I'm going to say is, if you knew him the way I knew him, you would not have voted for him. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it at that because
Yes.
I don't want his energy permeating this.
No.
So let's see. Monica says there are independent organizations that do licensing for technical professions. The government has no input. And then Eclectic Goddess says if they start to do that, they have to tax the church too. That'll be next when they start.
Well, you know what?
Churches.
That whole part is, and that this is something that was brought up recently with the government. They started saying that a lot of churches, because when you think about it, the Christian churches are committing, it's a sort of a legal crime with the 501c3 as a church, because they're not allowed. It says in the 501c3, we are not allowed to be political as the church. If I'm going to be political, it has to be as Star, not as the temple. It is illegal. And a lot of these reverends that are Christians, churches and everything are behind whatever, that's all illegal. They can become their licenses as 501c3 status and all of that exemption can be removed because they're not allowed to become political. So they were talking about that recently, and bringing up about charging taxes on churches that become political or things like that, because of what has been happening recently.
Well, first of all, I think the federal government needs to mind their own business when it comes to spiritual things. I have to tell you about a very frustrating thing that has happened to me and my Reiki students, where I have developed a technique to help victims of sexual assault to remove the power and energy of that assailant. It works so well that, you know, I had one young lady tell me, oh my God, I can't smell him anymore. She just kept smelling her rapist, and now she can't after my treatment. And I wanted to start a ministry with that to help sexual assault victims. You know, I would even charge them if you've been the victim of a sexual assault, and you could come to us and we could get that energy off of you. And so we called around to some places to see if they would allow us to do that, some shelters and things like that. And do you know, because they accept federal funding, they are not allowed to accept our help because we're coming from a spiritual standpoint, and they are not allowed to use any of their resources for spiritual help, period.
Yep.
It doesn't
Yep.
matter that we could be of service and assistance to people who have been raped or molested or sexually assaulted in some kind of a way. That means Zippo to them, even though that is what that organization was built around. These the rape
Crisis
counseling
centers.
and things
Yeah.
like that are built on helping these people, because I'm coming from a spiritual standpoint.
Yeah.
They cannot offer I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. And the thing is that what really hurt my feelings was one of the organizations had said, oh, this is great, you know, we're going to hook you up and blah, 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 and come on down. I told my students we're going to do this. We're all excited. You know, me and my students were the ones that wanted to do this with me. We were so excited. And then it went for the final approval, and whoever it was at the top said, no, sorry, we can't do it because we'll lose our federal funding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you possibly lose federal funding when we're doing something to help someone? We're not even asking you for money. We're doing this at our own expense. Why is that not? Why would you lose federal funding? Obviously, I'm not trying to defraud anyone. I'm not asking for any money. So where's that coming from?
Well, the problem is that when you look at the 501c3 application process, they have several headings of where a company is coming from, whether it's religious church, shelter firms, all the different things. And for each of them, they have a heading of federal monies that they can receive, things they have to, criteria they have to follow. That's the criteria. And they are signing that document based on that criteria and saying, okay, we will follow this criteria. In exchange, you will fund us with this amount of money. That's just the way it is. And that's not the religious part. And it's different to that one. They're all different, and they all have their own set of rules. And it's the most amazing thing to read. And your brain boggles there, but you see all of it. And it tells you what you have to follow for each one. It's kind of like, and another thing is, like, depending, the Christian ones would say everything is copacetic, but then they'll say, oh, but you're a spiritual witch. Okay, you're against our bylaws. There's no longer the 501c3. Now they're going with their bylaws because there's nothing against it with the 501c3. But their bylaws then is a combination thing that they have to add with it. Is able to suffer a witch. So they have it's the most amazing thing. It's just the most amazing. That's all I'm going to say. It's the most amazing thing.
No, well, you know, what are you going to do, right? All right, so let's see what we got also in here. You guys, I just love your conversations tonight. So then we have No School Nate saying, here is a question for the goddesses. What is this current generation of witches and magical adepts not really doing that they should? I can't help but feel our ancestors would be doing if they were alive. Personally, I mean, that's a big question, Nate. And I have to do a lot of, thinking. But right off the top of my head, I would have to say that witches are not doing enough to take care of themselves and their own families. I think that we are so giving that we're constantly worrying about what's going on with everyone else's lives, and we then turn around and find our own lives in chaos because we're not really putting ourselves and our stuff first so
Mm-hmm.
that we can get more money or get more stuff to do better for others. I think today's witches, because I read a lot of things and they are so giving, so self-sacrificing. They don't want to cast a spell to get a job because it could take a job away from someone else, and all these other things. I think that actually recognizing that we are worthy of having good things, and it would allow us to set such a better example for others. Because you'll hear people say, oh, well, if you're such a great witch, how come your bills are overdue? Or how come you don't have this? Or how come you didn't do that? And blah, 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 blah. And our response is because that's not where our head is at. Our head is in helping and healing and serving and stuff. However, I do believe that we do need to recognize that we need to be the first person on our list to be of service to, because if we're exhausted and we don't have money and we don't have the basic things and needs in life, we really can't help people as much as we want to. And not only that, if people look at your circumstances, they won't come to you for help. They'll say, well, how can you help me when your own stuff is falling by the wayside? It takes away from the efficiency and the success of witchcraft. So I would say that while I think it's awesome that everyone is so concerned and wants to help the world, I think we do need to recognize that we as spiritual warriors, we need to put ourselves first. We don't send soldiers into battle, broken down and not knowing what to do, and tired and exhausted from helping people. We buff them up, we feed them, we train them, and then we send them out there because we know they have to be strong in order to complete their mission. And if we are not shoring up our own weaknesses and making sure our own ships are seaworthy and getting out there and doing things to set a good example, show how being a witch is strong and powerful and can help other people, then we're actually hurting ourselves by being so selfless. I think we need to actually learn how to be more selfish so that we can say, look at me, I'm using my witchcraft, I'm strong, I have prosperity, I have a house, and I can show you how to do the same thing. I think by being so selfless, it takes away from us and takes away from our power and our ability to influence people in a successful way. Now, there's a lot of people that will jump all over me for saying that. Like, oh, how can you say that? And blah, blah. And we have to be about other people and it shouldn't be about us. Yeah, it does need to be about you. Because if you're going to be a spiritual leader, then you need to go ahead and be a leader. People are not going to follow you and follow your example if you are showing that you cannot handle your own business or do things for yourself, or your life is in chaos. They're going to say, well, what good is it to be a witch if your life is in this horrible shape? You're not going to set that example. We're trying to show that, yes, there are not only are there spiritual benefits to witchcraft, there are material benefits as well. And we can show you how to improve your life. We can show you how to take your power back. We can show you how to achieve your goals and get the things that you want to get. But people aren't going to see that if they see things are faltering in your own life. No one's going to believe you. And then that also takes away, because that's one of the biggest things you'll hear. If you're psychic, how come you haven't won the lottery yet? Well, you know what? That has not been, of course I want to win the lottery, but that's not my priority. I'm working hard, I'm building a business, things like that. It's not just about the money. There are a lot of spiritual things in there, though I would happily, hey, universe, I'm happy to receive the Mega Millions jackpot. I'd be very happy to
But you
receive
gotta go buy the ticket, man. Gotta go buy that
Lotto.
ticket.
I'm happy. But that's the whole thing. I buy lottery tickets and then I forget to check them. And then I'm like, oh, look
Yes,
at this lottery
I've
ticket.
done
Let me
that.
check it. And it's like 3 months old. So, that's because that's not where my mind is at. And I'm not saying that to be a successful leader or an inspirational leader that you have to be rich. Not at all. But you do have to be strong in what you do. You do have to be able to show, yes, I had this problem, but I resolved it through my spiritual workings or my magical workings, and I can help you to do the same thing. We're trying to set really good examples. So I wish we had more which is of a leadership mentality, and those who are not afraid to say, you know what, if I'm weak and poor and helpless, I can't really help that many people. I'm just going to be in the abyss with everybody else. But if I'm feeling strong and confident and full of energy and I'm prosperous and doing well for myself, then I'm setting an example, and then I can gather and do more for so many people with the resources that I have managed to accumulate through my spiritual practices. So that's what I think. And again, that's a loaded question. I'm going to actually write that down, Nathan, as one of our random questions, and I will make sure that I note you as the author of that question. I'm keeping a running list of questions since everyone seems to like that, and I'm going to put that in there to revisit at another time after I've had time and Goddess Star's had time to think about it, because that really is a big question. So Goddess Star, why don't you go ahead and give your opinion on what Nathan says. He's asking, what do we feel that today's generation of witches are not doing that the ancestral witches might have done?
Okay, I have a few things that I wanted to say. One of the things that I don't think that they're doing, I think there are a lot of Big Mac witches. Does that make sense? A lot of witches that I think that are not learning, read a couple of books or they take a couple of classes, they're ready to serve and charge and do for people, and even if they don't charge, but to do for people and all these things. And a lot of it, I have seen the end result of what, because they didn't quite learn everything, and what they've done damage instead of good with a lot of cases, because I guess they're full of self-import because they have learned a few things. They're forgetting that we did not just now learn this. This is many, many years, 30, 40 years of learning. I've actually seen me do, I think it's 6 months. The next thing you know, they were suddenly a professional at certain things and putting out their shingle for different things. So there's that one. Then I think a lot of them, I think you're right in some cases with, I think the us as older witches, we become in that way where we take care of everyone so much that we definitely do not always take care of ourselves. So then, like you said, things are in shambles with certain things, or we fall into debt with certain things because we were so busy taking care of everyone else. A lot of the new witches now, on the other hand, I think a lot of them are very, entitled. They feel entitled to whatever it is. It's just the entitled generation. I'm entitled to whatever it is. And somehow we're supposed to just hand it to them, and they're all okay with it, with accepting it and moving on. And in the meantime, we've paid our dues, and they're not willing to necessarily pay their dues. They want to just accept whatever it is and say, okay, I'm good, and go on from there. I'm entitled to this because I am. It's, I think we were talking about, I don't know who I was discussing it with, about different generations, and this generation of the 30 somethings or the 30-year-olds and stuff, a lot of them are very entitled because that's what they are. That's their generation. So there's a lot of that, because olden witches, it's not us, but I mean, even before that, I mean, olden witches, traditional witches, they worked the village, they helped provide, but the village also knew, take care of that witch, cover her expenses at home with the chicken and the cow and everything else, so that she can support herself. And they thought nothing of it. It was part of the whole cycle of life, theirs and hers, or his. And they just knew that's what they were supposed to do. Modern witches don't. They don't see it. They just feel like they're supposed to just take from you, and it's okay. They don't have to reciprocate. Again, that entitlement. So, and that's something that I've seen a lot. And it's kind of sad because they don't see that the other side of the coin needs to be covered as well. And that it's a cycle that they need to also pay. It's just life in general. So yeah, and our circumstances, like, you would forget to buy the lottery ticket, or you would forget to look at the lottery ticket, because we are so busy tending to give, even though we're saying we're business minded and we want to cover ourselves. We have a tendency to be too much. We're so much at our age group. We're so much in the service of, because that's what we're supposed to be. And we try to instill that into the newer generation of witches, and a lot of them they don't get that mindset of in service of. They have the tendency, instead, the majority of them, to be, they get to that point and they're not in service of the grand poobah of. And that's kind of sad to see happen with a lot of them. And I don't know if that's some of the things that Nate was seeing and coming up with for some of the questions. And I think that we just have to learn to take a step back and maybe adapt some of the old ways, and see a bigger picture beyond yourselves. And maybe that would help a lot of the witches now. I think because you guys are so accessible to Google or to the books that we did not have access to. So we were very grateful for the knowledge that we got, that you guys think it's just easily got. And so you're entitled to it because it's so easily got that somehow it's okay to take without giving back. I'm speaking in code too much.
No, you're not. You're making perfect sense. It is true that things come to today's generation so much easier than it did, for us. We didn't have access to all this. I mean, you really had to scrape and hunt and research to get just a speck of information, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you hit the button and poof, everything is right here for you. Everyone has tablets. I know someone who's a 2-year-old who has an iPad, which is hey, and the kid knows how to work it. The kid knows how to work the iPad. So I think that because things do come so easily now, that it has really influenced the younger generation. Now, there are still some young people out there that are determined to be of service and things like that. But, most of the thing, and I'm sure you get this too, Goddess Stars, very few people will ask you, how can I be of service of a witch? They want to know, how can I get more money? I need a spell to get a boyfriend. I need a spell for this. I need a spell for that.
Me. The me factor. It's all me. Yeah.
Very few will say, how do I actually become a witch of service?
Right. And if they do say, and well, if they're not even asking you about a witch in service, because you're telling them about the witch in service, a lot of them, and then they feel like they've earned something by offering their services. I've done my due, so I'm just puzzled by a lot of it, because they do feel like, if I don't think they realize that when you to have your church or your temple or whatever it is thrive, it's all based on volunteer work. That's how the Christians and everybody else thrive.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have all those volunteers doing it, they don't thrive. But I have no idea how to explain the modern day witches. They just, I don't know. I think maybe in a way things do come to them too easily, that they just think somehow it's all for free. We have to work hard for everything. We have to put in the time and the perseverance rather, all of it. We are, if I or you ever sat down and count how many hours we've put into the service part, we would never be able to be paid. It's just too astronomical, the amount of money that we would be considered owed. And we don't think about it. And they would think about it right away. Well, I've worked this amount of time, so this must have been worth this much. And you're sitting there looking at them with a blank face, because you're like, what are you talking about? I don't know if you know what I mean.
Right. I agree with you. All right, so there's.
I would love to hear what some of them are saying in the chat room about that.
Yeah, I'm going now, because that was Nate's question. So let me just scroll up, because I got scrolled again. Okay, let's see. Okay, that was the question. let's see, because we are on the cusp of a giant world change. This is true, Nathan, which Monica agrees with. Let's see. So Monica says you can't go into those places with a Bible either. So a different type of license with independent, non-government organization can help outside of religious or spiritual labeling because I don't need the lottery. I'm happy with enough and with balance. Wait, hold on. It just went up again. I don't know why I think when someone makes a comment, it makes it
Yeah.
move. So it scrolled itself down. So let me go try to find it. Okay. So then Nate says, thank you for answering my question.
Oh, we
That
got to answer it then. Good.
yes, he
Because
did.
sometimes we blab and we don't really answer. We blab and rant.
We do. We get on our rolls and, that's who we are. So that's the way it is. It is what it is. Thank you for answering my question. That viewpoint, Goddess Rhonda, was excellent. We do need to work on our worth and value through our actions for self-care. I think our ancestors would do that. Agreed. And then Goddess Star, Big Mac witches, rolling on the floor laughing. Well said. We can't skimp on the education or try to rush it. I still try to skip ahead sometimes. Depth is practice, and to practice is to go deeper. Then we've got, okay, so Nate says entitled magic creates an enormous debt. Sorry, everyone. You're not bogarting the chat room. We're here to say what we have to say. So by all means, say what you want to say. Monica says all practitioners need to learn more than the absolute basics. And okay, here we go, scrolling again. And then what happens is I lose my place and I feel like I'm missing comments. So I'm just trying, guys. Just bear with me.
Let me see if I can help. Put back on the glasses and no blur and go in there and try to help.
Thank you for answering the question. We did that one already. Monica agrees with you, got a star. And then Nate says entitled magic creates enormous debt. Okay, we said that already. Okay, sorry about that. Monica loves Nate. Nate loves Monica. That's beautiful. You guys are so cute. We love you too, guys.
Yeah, we're in the love.
Okay.
We're in the love.
Monica says we're catching up. Got to start slowly, but we baby witches are getting there. Of course you are.
Yeah.
And listen, we don't say things that we're judging anybody. We're just giving our own
What
opinion.
we see. Yeah, we see what we see. The thing that we hear, I got to tell you guys, in the chat room, a lot of your statements and everything suggest and show me and Goddess Rhonda that you are people who are open-minded and willing to keep learning.
And
I don't care how. Yes, and I don't care how old you are. One of the things Laurie Cabot has always told me when I was younger, she said, a witch never stops learning. You're always learning. You're never the Lord and Lady of Goddess of Grand Poobah of anything because you're always learning. So if we are always learning that and you guys are always open-minded to that, then that shows me that you're always there learning. And it just means that you're new, but you'll get there. We started out new ourselves.
Sure,
and 30, 40 years later, come on. It takes time. Everything
takes out of our
time.
mother's womb holding a wand ready to take on the world.
And going, Grand Poobah here.
Okay, I'm here. What do you need me to do first? That didn't happen. And if it ever did happen, I would be scared to death if someone says, "Oh yeah, my kid came out with a wand."
I would be scared of myself.
But everyone has to start somewhere. Just take your time. I understand why today's young people do feel that everything comes so instantly because everything does seem with the internet. You can text someone, they get it right away. You can do all these things right away, but not everything can be received. There's a lot of things, a lot of spiritual growth and things like that. So just, take your time and grow at your own pace. Don't feel rushed, especially when you're young. You've got decades to go to learn and grow. And that's the whole thing, is you are never, ever going to stop learning. You're never, you can master things, but everything evolves. So just because you mastered one thing today and it evolves and it'll evolve into something else that you need to master, or a new lesson or a new door will open up because of that you're starting from scratch again. It is forever that you will constantly be learning and evolving and, you know, growing your skills and honing them. It's not something that you're like, okay, I studied for a week, I'm ready. I don't need to study anymore. It doesn't work that way. It's a constant. Goddess Star and I, we've said it before, we are lifelong learners. We will still buy books, take classes, listen to what you guys say, because you guys teach us too.
Yeah.
We are constantly open to learning. And that helps us to be more skillful and more helpful. So if you could kind of take away that need to have everything you want right away and just say, you know what, everything is in divine timing, and take your time to learn and hone your skills, and remembering that it's going to be a constant learning. You're going to always be a student of spirituality, of magic, of metaphysics. Not every. I know there are some people like, well, I've learned enough and I'm good, and that's fine. Hey, you know, I don't expect I know that everyone is not a life learner, and that's okay too. But I have found that whenever I learn something, it opens the door to something else.
Yeah.
And then I can't wait to get through that door and learn more and learn more and learn more. So, you know, I think that learning just to take your time, grow, and just accept the fact that you are always going to be learning if you choose to. Because like I said, some people will learn a certain amount and feel that they're good with that knowledge and roll on for it, and that's perfectly okay. But for those of you who are really wanting to take everything, to constantly take it to the next level, then that's something that you'll be doing throughout your whole life. It's not something that you're just going to read one book for and say, okay, I'm ready. I don't need to read anything else anymore. I'm good.
And one other thing, if you look at professors stuff at universities and everything, a lot of them say that, okay, like whatever the topic is, they will tell you, oh, I read recently that this and this technique changed, and they move on and they go, so I'm learning that new technique too. They evolve with their techniques, even when they're supposedly the master or mistress of it. Their techniques change and apply and master and even become more master because they're learning to adapt and evolve with that mastering part of it. They're not just staying in a stuck and go, oh, I mastered that and think that's it. Like Goddess Rhonda said, even at that mastery side. So don't ever, if the professors at different universities could evolve and change with their techniques as they realize certain things were just found out and learned and everything, and they adapt and change with that to move on with their different new knowledge, so are we. It's the exact same thing. So even when you think you've mastered a particular topic or subject or whatever it is, there's always still more to learn on that from another person's point of view or different things that you go, oh, I had not thought of that part with it. You're right. Add that to it, and now it's even evolving even more. You know, and I've seen that happen all through our learnings and different things that I've learned as time goes by. So you would also see that yourself. So don't make yourself get limited to that thing that you've mastered or think you've mastered at. Okay? Don't limit yourself, because it's, believe me, it will keep evolving.
Which is a good thing. And then we're going to finish
Yes.
up with our comments. We've
Yes.
got
Yes.
Goddess Monica, who says, hugs and kisses to our gorgeous goddesses, Star and Rhonda. Hugs and kisses to
Hey,
you, Goddess Monica.
yeah, to you guys too. Yeah.
And Nate says he's adored Cabot for ages and ages. Would she allow you to interview her for the show? I think that we got to start ask that, and she had some things going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna try, because I do know health-wise she's not doing so great. And she kind of goes in and out, you know. So I'm gonna ask Penny and see if Penny thinks that she's up to it, because that's the issue that we all having with her. Because I know Christian was trying to get her down for Hex Fest. I don't know if he's, there's a whole, when as she's over 80 now, and a lot of us as we get older like that, it becomes more difficult. So I will see what we can do. If she can, she's an amazing person to speak with and everything. I am very proud and honored that she's my elder.
All right, gods and goddesses. Well, that is going to be our show for tonight. Now, I am moving, so I'm back. This is going to be our last show of the year.
Yeah,
we'll be back
that's true. I forgot.
First week of January, hopefully, if everything is all set up. But we do want to wish all of you a happy Yule, a happy full moon.
New Year.
a happy new year. May
everything
everything be
else.
awesome for you. And if you miss us, don't forget that you can always watch our archived shows right here on YouTube. We've got tons of shows going way back with great guests. We've got Christian Day. We've got Star Cassis. We have so many people and so many guests that can help you and teach you. We've got some great stuff in there. So please visit our archived show. And we love you to pieces. We'll miss you over the next 2 weeks, but we will be back that first week of January, more than like, I'm sure I should have my internet set up by then. So with that said, merry meet,
merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Merry meet again. Thank you so much.
And love you
we'll
guys.
see you in the new year. We love you.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
All righty. Good night, everyone.
Quickly, let me go quickly and